Hey, I'd like to welcome everybody back to our Friday Love and Learn. And I know I start off this segment every week saying this, but I do look forward to it. I just love getting the opportunity to connect and bring different folks together. And so really grateful to BJ Peters of ESU 13, Lacey Peters at NDE, and Molly Aschoff at ESU 8 for being part of our Love and Learn on this Friday. And so I'm sure there's some people kind of tuning in maybe from home as we have different, places kind of closed across the state. And so hopefully everybody's safe and warm and have enjoyed the week that was here. But it's worth saying off the top that we have some family in our chat today, which is great. So I don't know, we can we'll set the stage with this. Lacey, do you want to share your job at NDE? And we'll kind of, I don't know, I worked with Lacey at Westside for a time. And so this is kind of fun for me that the last 3 Friday Love and Learns, I had Aaron Bradenkamp, who worked with me at Westside, and Sid Kobza, who worked with me at Westside, and Lacey too. And so it's great to connect with some old friends in this format. So.
Yes. So I am the Health and Physical Education Specialist with NDE, but I also work with the Whole Child Project, formerly known as the WISC model or Coordinated School Health.
Yeah, and BJ is your father-in-law, right? So it's worth sort of like saying that.
He doesn't always claim that, though. I don't know why.
And Andrew, we're just all one big happy family here.
Right. That's worth saying. That's definitely worth saying for the beginning.
And it's interesting because Molly and I have worked together probably longer in the ESU system than I have with a lot of people across the state. So this is one big happy family. I've been with ESU 13 since the late 90s, well over 20 years. Hired me to be a DL coordinator. We kind of built it from the ground up and have since kind of transitioned into the technology director position out here. But yeah, I've covered the Panhandle for quite a long time.
Yeah, and Molly too has done a lot with our distance learning. And so Molly, if you want to share a little bit of your background as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I came into the ESU's. BJ got it off the ground, and I came in once DL was already off the ground. But have worked with DL distance learning across the state, technology integration, library and media. I'm currently the assistant administrator at ESU 8, and so the job has evolved, and that's the cool thing. We're people of with the capabilities to evolve because it's always changing and growing.
Yeah, and I think that just typifies what we see from everybody across the state in education. At this moment, especially, you have to kind of be flexible and willing to evolve. And it's fun to grow and learn each week, I think, from reflecting through avenues like this. And so we're going to go ahead and get things started off as we share a love and a learn each week. And so we'll start our first round with the love. And we'll start with BJ, actually. What was something that you loved from this past week?
This past week, the network we have here in the Panhandle in ESU 13. It's kind of, and I hesitate in saying this, but before Christmas, Crawford unexpectedly, sadly lost their IT director to cancer, and like within a week or two. And what I loved this past week or two was how our school IT directors rallied around a school district to provide them the kind of support. I mean, they're going into state testing and those type of things. And I mean, I had people driving to Crawford, Nebraska, just to help them get through that with a district that's got a brand new superintendent, just had no idea what to do. And it's that, I jotted a few notes. The first bullet is relationships for me. And that's what I love about my job is the people I work with.
I totally agree. That's been, I know I'm just my first semester really into this role, but it has been so just impressive to me, the expertise and the knowledge around the state, but then also just how kind and how willing to share and onboard, in my case, people are, and this group, amongst those for sure. I'd encourage people to leave your love and learn in the chat as we can, or in the comments box, wherever you're viewing from, as we can bring your comments in. And so, Lacey, what was your love from this past week?
Well, BJ kind of stole mine. It's on the same lines, but this being my first week off of maternity leave, my love is really the connectivity across the state. So while on maternity leave, whether it was coworkers, health and PE teachers, or curriculum coordinators reaching out, but this week definitely just the warm welcomes coming back. I even had a couple curriculum coordinators email me saying, hey, my teachers did these awesome things. I would love to share them with you. And just that passion and pride that they have and wanting to share it. So my love is really those relationships, that collaboration and connectiveness across the state as well.
That's got to be so encouraging after being away for a time to step back in and hear all the good stories of the work people were doing to keep furthering the cause while you're gone. And do you want to talk about your daughter real quick? We can say congratulations here in this format too.
Yeah, and you might hear in the background, my husband's giving her a bottle right now, but we welcomed Lacey Peters on November 9th. So she was almost 9 pounds and she's a little chunkster, but great baby. So she's the perfect addition to our family, and our 2.5-year-old just is absolutely in love with her. So that's a plus.
Oh, for sure.
BJ kind of likes her too.
I was going to say, I'm sure Grandpa really appreciates that as well. That's so special. That's awesome.
And just to articulate how we're family, I saw pictures right away, Lacey, when she was born, because BJ sends it out to his work family. And so we were just as excited for all of you.
Well, thank you.
Well, I did not plan on going here, but I will say that. So while Lacey and I were coaching together for cross country when we were at Westside, talk about family, I had my 2 kiddos that I would bring with me to practice during the summer. And should I go here with this? I guess I can.
Go ahead. She could have paid you back today.
I know. I would have to fill in for you at some point. But she was holding my newborn son at practice, and he was maybe a couple months old at that point in time, and he had a blowout of his diaper that ended up on poor Lacey's trainers.
Whole new level blowout.
And so when you want to talk about family, I think that qualifies for our groups here. So, and it's crazy now to think that Andrew's in first grade, just how quickly that time goes. So I will say this, there's some friends reaching out from across the state here. So Michelle, glad to have you back, and congratulations coming in from Allison Smith, which is awesome. And we have some comments here too, some loves. Love seeing relationships being a foundation for success in the workplace. We agree, right? Like, what is the point of this session? Well, the point of this session is connect with folks, because it's hard to do that right now, and to feel the good vibes and to see the work that's going on and keep those conversations at the forefront. I just think is so important. And so like this one, for example, love the opportunity to be able to get together with our friends across the state to learn together this week for, I'm assuming, PDO and through a multitude of other avenues. And it has to be great to see people in person. I don't know that personally, but I'm sure, Molly, you can speak to that a little bit and share your love too.
Yeah, Andrew, that is my love. My love, hate relationship I have with Zoom. I loved it this week because it's really consuming our lives, but it allows us to still have these relationships, to meet all week long. We've met across the state. We had the opportunity to come together and collaborate with our friends and colleagues. And so it's a wonderful thing. And I really have enjoyed this week. It kind of like re-energizes you to be able to connect with these people and to brainstorm and to collaborate. So I've loved this week. Typically, it's great to be in person, and we've made the best of it. And that's what we do. So that's my love for the week.
I'm personally so excited for when that happens, because I hear all these great things and all these fun stories of stuff that happens kind of peripheral around those events too. And we'll be excited to be a part of that when that is possible in the future. My love for this week, it's kind of a little bit of a long story, so I'll make it as short as I can. It was terrific that there were 3 students at Tri-County High School who set out on this initiative just independently, just they felt inclined to do this, to put together a top 10 list of self-care strategies for their peers. Some of this was under the guidance of Jen McNally. And so we did a podcast actually with these three kiddos who shared out their lists and talked about the process and their thinking that went into that. And just out of coincidence, shortly before I recorded the podcast, but I'd scheduled that this was going to happen, I, through my nerdy things, sometimes in the evenings, I'm on different Zoom calls, whatever else for education stuff. And I heard from an individual who said, well, if you know anybody any students who are doing some wellness things, let us know. And we actually have some scholarships that we're looking to give out. And so after the podcast, I reached out. Jen McNally sent something over as well. And one of those three students received a $1,000 scholarship for their efforts with that. And that was such a love for me this week, that here were three kids just trying to make a positive difference of their own volition, like for no grade, for no class. They just had on their hearts to help other people. And not only did they get recognized for that, but now it's transitioned into some financial support to further their education thereafter. And what is not to love? I get like even choked up just like talking about it. Like, what is not to love about that? Like, that's
so cool.
The kind of stuff that we're in this for. And it was just awesome that all kind of fell together. You see, like, there's such purpose in that. And so it was a true blessing. So I'm going to go back here. We have one more love before we move on to our learn. And Amy's sharing that she loved seeing everyone, SDA, at the PDO meetings. And even though we cannot be in person, better together, absolutely. And nodding along with us about this Zoom. And so glad that we have this Facebook Live space. Exactly. And so thanks for joining us for this. Feel free, everybody, to continue to add comments as we move to the next segment here. When I find my banner, the learn for this week. And so it's so fun how often the love and the learn almost become the same thing. I find that myself having to debate like which one goes in which category. BJ, what was your learn for this week?
Well, it's somewhat tied back to the PDO meetings that we had, that I learned we have some pretty smart, it always astounds me every time we have PDO meetings, but the amount of knowledge and expertise that we have within our network. And Molly, I see you nodding, that just continues to amaze me. Andrew, you have fit so seamlessly into that group, and just applaud your enthusiasm. It's I think I made a Zoom chat earlier this week of how contagious that enthusiasm is. It's re-energized me. That's what I've learned, I think, when I get together with our ESU group is, you kind of, this daily grind, and then you kind of you're re-energized. You're ready to get after it again.
Absolutely. We're carrying so much. It's so difficult to do even the littlest things right now that I think leaning into each other is just so awesome. And I'm really excited. This is not a plug, but it kind of is, I guess, for the Monday motivation coming up. I just think that's going to be a real healthy thing for us to do every couple of weeks too. And this has been a great job. I've so enjoyed just being able to go, hey, look at these awesome people, and I get out of the way, and it all goes really well. So that's been pretty great. Lacey, what's one thing that you learned this week?
Well, I don't know if I learned it, but it truly hit home, was the power of living in the minute and enjoying the now. And so what comes to mind mainly is family and friends. And as I mentioned, my husband was lucky enough to have more paternity time than I had. So he's still home with our little girl, but just how quickly they change. And even our 2.5-year-old, he spends a lot of time in time out, and he doesn't always make parenting easy. BJ can attest to that. But
he's like his grandpa.
Kind of honoring, huh?
But seriously, just enjoying, because he's still at that stage where he'll tackle you with a bear hug, and he wants to hold your hand, and so someday he's not going to want to do that. So just enjoying the now and all of the good things that come with each stage and time. So I know this isn't an easy time, and I saw someone mention being able to spend time with friends and family. So that would be my learn, is just kind of really remembering to live in the now.
Oh, so good. So good. And we got some more comments coming in that learning together is energizing. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. And it's been so great for us to do this together. And we have another learn that we have some awesome talent in the state, some great work for our masked singers. That was a hoot putting that stuff together. There's been some comments too about like an email thread actually went back and forth between some of the masked singers from our TLT icebreaker, for those that maybe are like, what are we talking about? But my boss, Craig Lofquist, did Born to Be Wild in that video. And they're starting to call him Craig the Gladiator for the helmet that he was wearing. And that's kind of it's been fun, I guess, just kind of all the banter that's come with that fun icebreaker activity. So thanks for sharing that. Molly, what was your learn from this week?
Well, one of the things we do, or I've been doing for several years, I'm a big fan of John Gordman. He's a motivational speaker, but he has a book, The One Word. And so instead of making a lot of New Year's resolutions, you choose one word to live out through the year. And so I've been doing that. And so did it with my staff this year, and they're in the process of coming up with their one word. So I love to learn the story behind the one word that people choose, you know. And I had a friend over for supper the other night, and she knew that my sisters and I do this. And she's like, oh, I want to tell you about my one word, you know. And it was forward. She was going to be moving forward in her life. Some things had caused some hiccups. And so it's just exciting to be able to, I think, make that connection with people, and more so now than ever, I think. And so I really loved learning different people's words and their stories behind them. My word this year is productivity. I need to work on that in a few areas of my life, and or just areas of certain days. But yeah, and so that's kind of been my learn for the week.
Awesome. And I would encourage anybody too, as we're at the start of January still here, if you have a one word and like to share that in our comments, and we could bring that in and hear, because I'm with you. And the ESUCC, Craig started for us at the beginning of this school year picking a one word. We read through the book, and it is fun to periodically check in on that with one another. And you know what, actually that kind of sets up mine. Now, I hadn't thought about this, but so my word is listen for the year. And that for me is really because I have a tendency to just go 100 miles an hour in a direction and don't take care of necessarily myself, or when I need to sleep more, or when I need to maybe take care of my fitness a little bit better. So my learn for this week was actually going to be, I had a friend recommend an app. It's called Simple, that is all about, if you're going to do intermittent fasting, what it does, like the healthy way to do that. And I have not come across an app that I've loved so much in just a short period of time. It has all these timers. It tells you when you're on and when you're off. And the reason I bring it up too is that it takes a pretty unique approach to educating you about that process. It has everything from things that look very similar to, I would say, like Snapchat or Facebook stories. So you kind of learn like a sentence or two at a time, and you advance it with some great visuals. And then it also has this really unique chat feature that it's not a chat. It's a scripted series of text, but it presents itself as a chat on the screen. And when you get to a certain option where you would naturally respond, it gives you like 3 or 4 things to say, and then you respond, and it's almost like a choose your own adventure, because you know what's on the other side of your response is also scripted. But it is just fascinating for me. I'll sit there and just learn all this stuff from this app, and I thought to myself, what could that look like in our education context to house content or information in these different modalities like that. Plus the app's terrific. So I'm putting in a plug for Simple. Purple app logo with a white circle on there. And Lacey, there's some health and fitness for folks maybe at this time too. So any kind of parting messages from any of you?
Well, I think just back on that, Andrew, we saw through the whole COVID stuff of how some of our remote learners struggled. And that sounds like an app that gives you some feedback to kind of keep you going and motivated. And that's where we struggled in some of this. And I'll be the first to say that none of us have enjoyed what the last 6 months has put us through. But in some ways, and Molly and I have had this conversation, it kind of re-energized me just to have a new purpose. You go through some of the day-to-day stuff of your work, and it's like, and then all of a sudden, wow, I need to create about 1,000 new Zoom accounts and train people on how to use that product. And it kind of a new purpose type of thing. And it was exciting. And I think COVID kind of changed, and it, Lacey probably can agree here, our family activities dwindled. And what we were able to do over the holidays, I can't be replaced. I'm blessed. My wife and I are blessed with 4 wonderful kids. Lacey's married to our oldest, and we're all able to be together over the holidays and do it safely. And I think because of COVID, we stayed together probably even more often. So it was great. So there are positives of what we've been going through over the last several months, and has kind of given me some new energy.
Yeah, BJ, I would agree. And I've been telling my teachers that, it hasn't been the most pleasant and everything, but if you don't take this opportunity and to have learned something and bettered yourself, then we've wasted a great pandemic. And so I love this Love and Learn. There's even in the worst situation, there's something you can take from it. And whether, we've become better teachers, we've become better friends maybe because you've had to connect in different ways. But I really think that it has offered us some great opportunity if we've allowed ourselves to take it and not just get caught up in the unpleasant parts of it. So I agree with you, BJ, there.
Such a getting back to basics and the core of your why, and like you're saying there with family. And too, I think sometimes when you don't feel motivated, it's almost, I have to like tell myself that I will feel more at peace and motivated if I add more purpose to my day, and not let sort of the weight of the moment prevent you from investing in the very thing that can help get you forward, and that is having that purpose embedded in there, and that in there too. So, well, Amy is feeling that, Molly, and connect is a great term for us. And so I'll just say thanks to the 3 of you for joining us for this week's Love and Learn. And this is always just such a special time in the week. And so I'm grateful to learn from all of you.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks, guys.
Have a great one.
Enjoy your weekend.